Hey YouTube, SkullCrystal here with a review of the S.H.Figuarts Tamashii Web exclusive Kamen Rider SkullCrystal. He's not a crystal form or anything, he's just SkullCrystal, as seen here, kind of like Axel Trial. So, the Kamen Rider SkullCrystal is done in a nice hollow foil silver, while the box is a black, kind of like the original Skulls. SkullCrystal right here, Bandai Collector Shop exclusive. Kamen Rider SkullCrystal, Movie War Core. The typical drill. All the shit. It comes with a lot of shit, actually. This is a fairly accessory-heavy figure. The original Skull was too, and this guy's no exception. So, Inception. He's a rider inside of a rider. So anyway, he is done in a beautiful matte finish. It's very similar to Joker's. In fact, it pretty much is Joker's, just with a new body up here. And it looks really, really nice. So let's go ahead and take a look-see here. So here is the SkullCrystal head. I like it. I like it a lot. But I can see where some people would have problems with it. You can see the division line very easily right through here. Plus you can kind of see the joint sitting inside of there because it is more of a clear thing. So I can see where people wouldn't like it, but personally I think, particularly from a little bit further away, it gives off an effect that looks really nice on display, I think anyway. I mean, as far as articulation, everything is still there. My joints are extremely tight. In fact, his shoulders are kind of difficult to maneuver. So everything is super tight, really well done, all of that. His legs are a little bit loose, but it's the double mold. I'm kind of used to loose legs with this mold by now. But everything looks really, really good on the figure. And like I said, no real updates to it besides the whole matte finish. So if you've seen the original Skull review, or own the original Skull, this isn't too different in terms of sculpt. Just the matte finish looks absolutely gorgeous. I love matte finish, so if you didn't know that already. It's my favorite matte ever. Matte finish. Yeah. So anyway, there is a running flaw with this figure, and that's his knees. Let's get all down dirty in here. My light probably, there we go. If you can kind of see, his hips don't line up properly. This one's a little bit higher setting than this one. Some of them don't have this problem, and it's very easily remedied by opening the entire goddamn figure and then sanding it down and shifting it where it's supposed to go. I don't think it's that big of a problem. It offsets his hips a little bit, but it isn't so much that it damages his it doesn't damage his articulation at all, and I can still get him to stand pretty straight, so I don't really see a problem with it. Just to kind of see how they're supposed to be, we can kind of get lined up in here. You can kind of see how these ones are more lined up. So, like I said, I don't think it's a huge deal myself, but yeah, so here's original Skull. We'll bring him in later. So, SkullCrystal has a bunch of accessories, so let's kind of set him in the back here. He comes with a normal skull form head, you can see right here. Really, really nice. Here is the original Skull's head. It is a slightly new sculpt. This one does not feature compound eyes. Well, it does, but they're just really difficult to see. They're just really back in there, whereas the original Skull's eyes were a lot more of a brownish color. So that's different, and then if we can pop the head off, my paint's probably starting to peel, and I'll get to that later. Yeah, my paint's starting to peel, but that's okay. So as you can see, they are a little bit different. This has a lot more round, whereas this one has a weird kind of funky color, which hindered the movement a lot when you put the muffler on. It just didn't really work at all. So it's good to see that they do enjoy fixing flaws when they have the opportunity to. So the original Skull head, 2 hats. Just like the original Skull, it came with a hat with the nick in it, and then a hat without the nick in it. So depending on whether you want Begins Night version or real version, I guess. Let's see. What else do we got going on here? We have the Skull Magnum, of course. Same mold as the original one, no difference there. The scarf that I have on him, the normal down scarf, and then a epic blowing in the wind scarf. For hands, you have just kind of splayed opened, pointy hands for the Saomai no Tsumi no Kazero. You have hands for holding the Skull Magnum. You have hands for holding a hat. So it's got a finger kind of splayed open, and he can hold the hat in there and stuff like that. It's kind of difficult to pull off, but have those. Then you have just kind of splayed open, relaxed hands. Then lastly, you have these things. I like to call them skull caps, just because he's skull and yeah. These tiny little pieces of plastic that are pretty much the same material as this. So the tray that he sits in, it's the same material as these things, which was kind of disappointing. I thought these were actually a harder plastic, but they're not. They're just soft packing plastic. What these do is they sit inside of the hat, like that, and then you can put the hat on his head, just so I don't really keep fucking up the figure. I'll just take this. So you take the head, and then it can sit right on there, and you won't have the paint chipping problem that the other one had, because the hat sits pretty tight on there. In fact, I'll do it once. As you can see, the hat sits pretty tight on there. In fact, this one fits quite a bit looser than the other one did. The old one had a very bad problem with the paint chipping off of the helmet with the hat on it. So, I don't know. I don't like these. These are stupid. If they were like a harder rubber plastic or something, then I can see it. But as it is, all it does is add a layer between the hat and the helmet that makes it very slippery, and it doesn't grip at all. It just falls off. I don't understand why these things would even be existing, but whatever. It's not like they cost money. It's just leftover plastic bits, so whatever. So, what can I do for the figure? What can I do? What can I do there for the figure? Head swapping is really easy. Just pull this head off, and then of course you can pop this off if you wanted to put the action muffler on. I don't want to, so I'm just gonna stick this one back on. Speaking of, this pegs in place. It's molded to match his neck area, so this doesn't really just sit there. It actually pegs right in place. So that's nice. And then you can put the new head on just like that. And like I said, this one has a lot more range of motion than the old one did, thanks to the new head design. So there you go. Now I have old Skull, being all old and stuff. So since I have a Skull already, I do not need this head because I am posing him with SkullCrystal. I think the cool crystalline look of the head plus the matte finish makes this a very beautiful figure. I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but I'm okay with that. Okay, peg that back in, get all that situated. So, yeah, that's it. So I'm going to pose him some way. I don't feel like giving him the Skull Magnum since my other Skull has it. And, that one's got nothing. So let's just kind of make something up off the spot here. So we'll give him a right-handed saw hand, as I like to call them. I forgot what hand he did that with, but and just give him a relaxed hand, because he is relaxed. He is a relaxed Skull. Oh, this looks weird. I might change it. Alright, so just something kind of simple like that for now. So, here is SkullCrystal, and here is normal Skull. Looking all scully. Huh. Alright, so, what to say. I like this one more. If you haven't picked up... What is going on with his shoulder? If you haven't picked up the original Skull, or rather if you sold your original Skull, get the SkullCrystal version. You get a nicer looking original Skull head. You still get all the hats, you still get all the mufflers, you still get all the hands, plus this is a beautiful matte finish. This figure is pretty much defunct now. The only good thing of having both is that you can have one with the hat and one with SkullCrystal. That is really the only thing going for it. I wouldn't recommend owning both unless you're a completist. Otherwise, I would just kind of stick to the cool one with the matte finish and call it a day. So, definitely recommend it if you don't have the original Skull. Definitely recommend it if you have the original Skull. Just because I'm such a fan of the matte finish on the figures, the SkullCrystal head looks really pretty, and I just think it's an overall great figure. So you can check out a rent review at RidersRambles.com, bringing the latest token news in the craziest way possible. And of course, you can check out the latest news for Double, not that there really would be much, and talk about Figuarts and Double at the Ramboards at RidersRambles.com/forums. So take care, have a great one.